Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be discussing my super early NBA mock draft. So stick around, listen up, and let's go ahead and get right into the video. Okay, so for that first player, we're going to go ahead and start off with Cooper Flagg, who's going to go number 1 overall out of Duke University. I think the Detroit Pistons will have this pick. He's a 6'9" forward with the most potential coming out of this draft. I mean, has elite defensive potential. I mean, he came out of high school averaging 1.6 steals and 2.7 blocks a game. He's a great weak side shot blocker. Great in the passing lanes. Very active hands. Down low in the posts. Just a well-rounded defender. I'm projecting he could have all defensive potential in the NBA. As long as he just keeps on building on his frame more and more. But I mean, at 6'9", a wiry super athlete, I mean, he could potentially be a generational level defender. Now, as far as his offense is concerned, it's pretty solid. He can do a little bit of everything. He can dribble pretty well. He can pass enough, and he can score the ball. He has an okay mid-range and three-point shot. However, there is some things that he will have to work on if he wants to be this super amazing superstar level player that everybody projects him to be. And let's go ahead and get right into that. So for that first portion of what he needs to work on with his game is his shot creation. Sometimes, and his decision making and shot attempts are just mind-boggling what he'll do. Sometimes he'll just put his head down, just drive straight to the rim, and just throw the ball up at the rim and just either try to get the foul or just try to get the lay-in or the dunk. But sometimes those shots can just get forced up super early into the shot clock, and it's just a really bad look. But that's something that comes with more play time, especially going to Duke, which I think would do a very good job with slowing him down and really building on his IQ. So I think that he'll be perfectly fine after this year at Duke, and then he'll get drafted number 1, and hopefully that time at Duke he can use to just improve his shot creation and decision making abilities over time. He also tends to sometimes force up really, really bad three-point jumpers or step back fadeaways, excuse me. Sometimes when he gets stopped heading to the basket, his instinct immediately is to just pull up immediately and just shoot the jump shot, whereas he could probably throw the ball out and reset the offense and get it going again. But again, that's over the course of time. He'll continue to build on his offensive game more and more, and I think that he'll be perfectly fine. That's just going to come with repetition and just playing the game more and more and just becoming smarter as a player. Another thing that I would like him to work on is his outside shot. While his jump shot does look solid, he has solid jump shot shooting mechanics, and his jump shot did improve over the course of his high school career, especially his senior year at Montverde Academy in Florida. He shot 38% from 3, which is really good. He did take 96 attempts, so it shows that he could be a very capable shooter. I don't think his offensive game will be the greatest heading into the league. He'll probably be best as a second option at his peak as an offensive player, but defensively, I still see generational level defense. So at the end of all of these things, we're going to go ahead and do a player comp. And for him, I have Andrei Kirilenko, which was a very great player in those 2000s for the Utah Jazz, a great defender with a solid, well-rounded offensive game. So we're going to go ahead and get into our number 2 player who I think is going to get drafted, and that player will be Dylan Harper out of Rutgers University. I believe that the Washington Wizards will have this pick. They could really use a guard. They've been struggling to get guards since they good guard play since they lost Bradley Beal. I think Dylan Harper will be a great pickup for them and a great addition to their team. He's 6'6". He has great size at 220 pounds with a 6'11 wingspan. He's built very strong, very cocky. That'll be perfect for them at the guard position, either at point guard or shooting guard. So that's really good. He can create his own shot with the ball. So, he would come into the league not really needing to really learn how to create his own shot or whether or not if he's going to take a dumb shot or not, because he's really good at getting to his spots on the floor and just making smart decisions as far as scoring the ball. He has amazing feel for the game. He never plays rushed, just does a great job with the ball in his hands. But let's not forget that he's also effective with the ball outside of his hands as well. He's constant. He can move around more and more, but for the most part, he does do pretty well off the ball. And I project that he can score no matter where he is on the floor, whether he has the ball or not. And I think he'll be an elite level scorer, probably a 20-point per game scorer in the league. Really effective passer, especially operating out of the pick and roll as the main ball handler. He does really well with using the pick and roll to either get to his particular spot to score or finding a teammate to dish it off to, which he does really well with. And with him being 6'6" and being built very strong and having that really long wingspan at 6'11", he is a really good rebounder at the guard position. As a senior, he averaged almost 6 rebounds a game. And in the Nike EYBL, he was averaging 7 or 8 rebounds a game, which is very, very good for someone his size. However, there is a few deficiencies to his game, and one of those main deficiencies that I am worried about is his overall athleticism. While he's not the worst athlete in the coming into the draft, he isn't the greatest athlete. Kind of slow on defense. He will need to improve as a defender. He could become a solid enough league average defender at best, just using his size alone and just giving a little bit more effort on that end. He will, however, always, I believe, have trouble guarding just smaller, faster players. I think that's just something just naturally not going to be able to be fixed, but maybe over time it can be. But that depends on coaching and effort and learning positioning and things of that nature. And sometimes he does have trouble creating his shot against those quicker defenders. But for the most part, he's smart enough to remember that he does have the strength advantage over most guards. So he can bully his way to wherever he needs to go. So I'm hoping that over time he can just continue to build up on the defensive end, and the athleticism can be ignored as a whole, as you can see with players like Nikola Jokic or Luka Doncic. Athleticism isn't the end-all be-all. Whether or not you'll be a good player or not just needs to come with more play time, and we should see how that goes. And as far as his player comp, I have him as a taller Jalen Brunson. So let's go ahead and get right into our third player for the draft, and I believe that would be Ace Bailey, also coming out of Rutgers. I believe that he'll be drafted to the Brooklyn Nets with that third pick. He's also a 6'9" small forward with elite level athleticism. This guy can run the floor like a gazelle, and he's an absolute terror in transition. He plays way above the rim, and he moves his feet very well laterally, and also projects to be a very good defender, and just a great prospect overall. He has good shooting mechanics, and he has nice touch on his shot, and he is an okay passer, and he's a very good rebounder. Coming out of high school, he averaged 15.5 rebounds as a senior, which is insane. He did a very good job as far as that. But as far as his weaknesses are concerned, he do need to work on his shot creation ability. He does tend to force up a lot of shots. At high school, he is 6'9" with a decently long wingspan. Sometimes he would just settle for a contested long 3-point shot, which going into the league, there will be many defenders who will be able to just guard that and just be comfortable with living with that shot over and over. So I'm hoping as the season goes on and his time at Rutgers, he'll be able to work on that shot creation ability for himself and others occasionally. He does also need to work on his ball handling. That led to quite a few turnovers with just losing his handle as a whole. But for the most part, his handle is solid enough to where it can transition over into the league. And he may also need to improve his basketball IQ. But all in all, I think he projects to be a really good player coming into the league. And for his player comps, I have him as a mix of Brandon Miller with Josh Smith from the Atlanta Hawks. Right, so for our fourth pick, we have VJ Edgecombe coming out of Baylor University, and I believe the Chicago Bulls will have this pick. So he is a 6'4" shooting guard with also with great elite athleticism, and he's really strong at his position, at his size. He's only 185 pounds, but he has a lot of strength, so that's pretty good for someone who's only 185 pounds. He's really, really fast. He has elite level speed, which helps him get out in transition for very easy baskets. He's also great at getting to the basket with his elite quick first step. He also depends on his athleticism quite a bit. That's something that I think will be fixed over time. But before that, he has solid handles as well. He's an improving three-point shooter, which is very good because, as you know, in the league, if you can't really shoot too well, you're going to have trouble staying in the league, or let alone getting playing time. But outside of that, I think his biggest positive is that he's an amazing defender. He has great active hands, great timing with as far as getting steals in the lane and just stripping the ball out of someone's hands. He's also a pretty good shot blocker at the guard position. He's very disruptive and gives tons of effort on the defensive end. As far as his weaknesses are concerned, I mean, it's only a few. Just really need to continue to work on that jump shot. Again, I mean, that it's improving, and it's clearly obvious that he knows that it's something he has to work on, so he's working on it more and more. And I believe his time at Baylor, we'll see if that starts to show at least a little bit of progress, at least as far as that's concerned. While he's an okay ball handler and playmaker, I would like to see him improve more at that, considering that he is 6'4", and he is as athletic as ever, and he can get to the basket at free will with his quick first step. It would be nice to see more assists come out of that and more playmaking opportunities come out of that, where the defense might have to collapse on him because he's getting to the basket incredibly fast. His short wingspan, with only having like a 6'5" wingspan at his size, or being 6'4", 6'5", with only a 6'6" wingspan, I mean, that could give cause to pause, but players like Jimmy Butler has shown that maybe that's not too much of a concern as long as you put the effort in. I think this shouldn't be too much of an issue at all. But for his player comp, I have him as the next Victor Oladipo. And for our final player of the video, we're going to get into Igor Demin out of BYU. And I have him going to the Utah Jazz with the 5th overall pick. This is a 6'9" point guard, incredibly skilled at that size and playing point guard. Going to BYU. Again, obviously 6'9" point guard, elite size, gives you thoughts of Magic Johnson, LeBron playing point guard. Clearly, he's not going to be those type players, but just the idea of a 6'9" point guard is just an intriguing and enticing opportunity that you just can't pass on because you never know. Being that tall, he can scan the floor very well, and he gets his passes to his spots where he needs to because he's able to see over the defense, which is very good, and that's something that you just can't teach, is passability sometimes, and him having that instantly coming into the league will be very, very good for the Utah Jazz, who doesn't have very many shot creators, and the shot creators that they do have aren't exactly the greatest at creating shots for others. They're more so players that get buckets for themselves, so it would be nice to see somebody outside of Keontae George who can create for others a little bit more. I mean, he does a very good job at getting to his spots for shooting the ball. Plays those passing lanes very, very well. Again, at 6'9" with a decently long wingspan. I mean, he's going to be in the passing lanes often. He's going to use his length as much as possible to play his defense. He projects to be a pretty solid defender, probably a little above average, maybe at average at most, but walling up but those ball handlers in the perimeter and being a deterrent at playing defense as a whole, I think he'll be very solid at. But as far as that's concerned, he projects to be a pretty solid point guard coming into the league. My weaknesses for him are his athleticism. He's not the fastest, but he's not the slowest. And he can occasionally finish above the rim, but he's not a leaper. So may have a little concern about that. But again, going back to Dylan Harper, they've shown again with Jokic and Luka, if you have a really high IQ, which he shows for the most part, I think he'll be able to bypass that, having that low-level athleticism. That mediocre athleticism, however, will give him issues like those players mentioned with playing defense. Again, those really fast guards and wings, he will end up having to defend when he gets to the league, will give him some problems. So I think that's something that he will have to work on as far as maybe just giving a little bit more effort on that end, but we'll see as he goes. He definitely needs to bulk up. He's only 190 pounds, so that'll help him become a more versatile wing defender and perimeter defender guarding the guards. And all in all, his most biggest issue, he do need to fix his shooting. Although his jump shot looks nice and it's a very quick release, he did only shoot 33% from the three at Real Madrid in Spain, including those off the dribble shots, getting into the midi or those pull up threes. He will definitely need to work on that. But in summary, I am projecting that his NBA comp is a mixture of Lamar Odom and Josh Giddey. Thank you guys for listening. Those are my 5 players that I think are going with the first 5 picks in my super early mock draft. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, just leave them in the comment section and let me know if I made any mistakes about these certain players at these positions. Thank you guys for listening. You guys have enjoyed the rest of your day.